go ahead and make that happen.
And there we go. Did you watch all of that MGK?
No, I need to.
Wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't, you know.
Yeah.
Test. Hey.
Test.
Let's see. What are we talking about? We're talking about cars and dreaming about women.
Talking about cars, dreaming about women. Never had a chance.
No, it's Prospect.
Guys, Iron Eagle, 35 years ago today.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Retro Blasting put it out on Facebook, and I just reposted it.
Sorry, Chappie, I'm doing it my way.
All right, we're live on Facebook.
Hey, Facebook.
What's up, Facebook? All right, well, if you want, I'll go ahead and start, and I'll give her a little pause. And
dang, it's like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I've done this once or twice before. Kind of a, I'm like the Howard Stern of podcasts in my house.
Hold on just a second. Let me make sure that it's rolling here. Yeah, it looks good.
Are you ready?
In my house.
One sec. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Welcome to Anything New. My name is Matt, and as always, I'm here with Opie.
Hello.
And Pete.
Hello, friends.
Anything New is a podcast where we talk about anything new we've been using, perusing, or consuming. Guys, we've got a pretty good show today. We're going to talk about a video game. We're going to talk about a TV show. And we're going to talk about a movie, that being Prospect, our community viewing project that we had from last week. This is on Netflix. This is starring Pedro Pascal. I think that guy's going to go places. I think he's going to have a pretty good...
He maybe do a couple of things, a thing or two.
Yeah, he's gonna have a good career ahead of him, I think. So, this one is Opie. This was yours, right?
This was mine. Yes,
Okay, go ahead and tell us what it's about.
Well, started off. Prospect is a movie about a father-daughter.
That is correct. It is a movie.
It is a movie. It took me a second to pull it up. It is a movie about a father and daughter, and basically, this father and daughter are kind of a team of, they're prospectors, and basically what they're doing is they're traveling around the universe, I guess, in the beginning.
Oh my gosh. I didn't even realize that that's what the title meant.
What?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I did not even realize.
So they're prospecting. They're traveling around the universe as in a. It starts off. They're a part of looks like a bigger space station type of freighter type of ship, and they're dropping down to planets to prospect for this certain type of mineral or certain type of jewel or rock or whatever. And apparently the movie takes place on this planet where the atmosphere is kind of toxic. It's not breathable. They have to wear suits and filters and things like that.
And like YouTube comments, real toxic. You can't breathe or do anything.
Exactly. And the thing that's funny about this, and this kind of is why they're kind of special to the story, is it takes a certain person to be able to harvest this type of rock, because apparently there's some kind of alien plant life form. It really never is brought out in the movie, that in its roots, it looked like to me, in kind of its roots, it produces these rocks, and they kind of look like eggs in these sacks, and you have to go through all these different measures to just be able to pull the rock out. And then when you get to the point where you have to cut open the last sack that the rock is in, if you make the wrong cut or burst the wrong he said there was blisters on them that if you actually cut the wrong way, you could destroy the rock. It's like pretty much useless. So they encounter, they go to this planet's surface, and lo and behold, they're, unbeknownst to the daughter, the father has a tip on a different plan. Now, he's not told her about his second plan, but in the beginning, I think she just thinks they're there to just, do some regular prospecting. Well, they come across Pedro Pascal's character and his partner, which they're kind of stuck on the planet, and they're kind of roaming around just trying to make their way to find a way off the planet. So basically, they're kind of, I don't want to say they're bad guys, but they're kind of no-nonsense type of guys. They're just trying to survive. So basically, you've got those two guys. It's either going to be them or kind of a survival type of thing when they encounter. One thing leads to another. The girl's dad gets killed in a little kind of a firefight where Pascal's character kind of hunts down the daughter, and they kind of team up. She shoots him, he gets injured. They kind of team up, and in the middle of all this, before the father got killed, he kind of let the secret know in kind of a negotiation type of thing that he was actually hired by a bunch of mercenaries that had been bringing a prisoner to the planet, and I guess they were going to execute him and bury him on the planet, and they come across this mother lode of the jewels. They called it the Queen's Lair, like the Queen's Lair full of these eggs. And so he was hired as a digger. It was someone that specializes in getting these rocks out of these alien roots or whatever, to come down and dig this major haul out. So he passes this information along to Pascal's characters, of course, before he dies, and as part of a negotiation to let him live during the encounter. But one thing leads to another, and they end up dying. So the daughter and Pascal get together, and he's like, the only way off this planet, because she goes back to the ship and the ship won't take off, is to kind of get to that dig site and somehow, some way, use their ship to get off the planet. And there's a whole climax of the story arc there. They run into some locals. There was an amputation scene.
Ooh, yeah.
The whole 9 yards. But just my overall thoughts. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a very, very original piece. I think originality was one of the things that kind of stuck out to me. The dialogue, number one, reminds you of like True Grit, Coen Brothers kind of a dialogue, kind of a Coen Brothers type of movie where they have a dialogue in kind of their own language. I like the technology. I like how junky the tech look, like they're jumping from planet to planet, but it looks like they're inside of a refrigerator. It doesn't look like a normal. Yeah. Did you guys pick up on like the weapons? It was almost steampunky. Yeah. It was almost steampunky kind of. It was more like a sci-fi punk kind of thing where, they're on this toxic planet and they're using like a breather apparatus that looks like a Walkman or something. It wasn't fancy. It wasn't fancy at all. It was really kind of just stripped down, bare bones type of space suits, and it really stuck out to me. I thought it was just I liked the dialogue the most. I thought the story, I thought it was shot well. I thought, it was short enough. It didn't really overdo it. And you kind of had to listen at times to really gather what they were kind of talking about in sometimes, because they had their own words for different things that,
Oh yeah, there was so much sci-fi made up mumbo jumbo and they didn't bother explaining what anything was, so you just sort of more or less had to use context clues to figure out what are they talking about when they're talking about different tools and ships and all that kind of stuff. So, but you could still follow along. I had subtitles turned on like I always do because the boy was in the other room screaming his head off, playing games. So,
but I really liked the movie. I'd been wanting to watch it for a really long time. I'd seen some trailers and things on it, and a lot of that stuff kind of stuck out to me, and I was hoping to see what you guys thought about it.
I liked it. I thought it was good. It was super original. and everything. I mean, you pretty much hit on a lot of stuff that I was going to talk about, like just the way that it was shot, like the kind of the just the color palette that they used.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it looked like, they just went out in like some dense woods and shot it, but then they added like these little like floating kind of like
Yeah.
almost like little organisms that were just
Yeah.
floating in the air
Like
that you wouldn't
dust.
see.
Dust.
Yeah,
They
that
called it
you
dust. Yeah.
you wouldn't see that on any, planet in our
Yeah.
solar system. And I also like that everything was different. Like they didn't read English. They didn't listen to music that had
Sure.
English in it.
Yeah.
Everything was just different. Like they never talked that any of them was from Earth. They never talked that they were humans. They never talked that. I mean, it was just, they were from other planets. They were born on other planets. This could have been set 5,000 years in the future. It could have been set 5,000 years in the past. You don't know, because it's just like it's off in a
It
distant
could have been like
galaxy.
a whole other galaxy where Earth didn't even
Absolutely.
exist, like Star
Right.
Wars,
Yeah, it's somewhere else, somewhere in the spectrum of time, somewhere in the universe. Don't know, but they have, yeah, like you said, like it was awesome, kind of retro tech.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
they had to wind up their guns to shoot them, and they called them throwers. They didn't call them guns. Like they just had different terminology for a lot of different stuff. It was,
yeah.
I thought that was really cool. The story overall was a little weak, I thought.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but I thought that the actors were great, and and there was some action. Diana didn't really like it very much. She thought it was a little gory and bloody on some
Really?
things, like stabbing in the neck when he stabbed that girl in the neck, like repeatedly, like 20
was like
times.
one
with that
time at the end.
scalpel. She sees a lot of gory stuff, so I don't really know what her problem is with that. But we watched it together today, and I liked it. I thought it's one of those great movies where you're scanning through, you've seen so much stuff, and then you're like, oh, what's this? Okay, well, I know this guy from Mandalorian, or whatever.
Yeah.
You hit play, and then you're just like, okay, that was better than I expected. So it's kind of like all the other movies we've watched so far on this. It's not going to win any awards, but it was entertaining, and at the end I was like, okay, I'm glad I watched that. That was really good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel the same way. I think maybe I liked it just like a pinch less than you guys, but I still I did like it. I wasn't mad that I watched it. Anybody who likes good sci-fi and maybe slightly original stories should watch it. I thought it was a little slow. Like, I could have used a little bit quicker pace, like kind of like our movie last week, Never Grow Old. It just, it just sort of dragged on a little bit. And, I did like, and Opie, you mentioned it. I'm glad you mentioned the dialogue, because I thought I loved. It was really just Pedro Pascal's character's dialogue, more than anything else. He was like. And the easiest way to describe it is, think about the most simple sentence that you want to say to somebody.
Yes.
Look up all those same words in a thesaurus.
Yeah.
Find the most complicated words that you can find, and then use those in the sentence instead. So kind of remind me of the way Boyd from Justified, how he would, he was just this Southern guy from Kentucky, but he always would talk like real. And they even there were several different characters that made comments in that show about, Boyd, I don't know what the hell you just said, but you sure do like to hear yourself talk or something. It was kind of like that, but even more so. So, he always, he would use, kind of big words and stuff. But I like the way he talked. I thought that was pretty cool. But I actually thought, I think I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, because I was like, okay, this is a sort of an original story. It's it had an estimated $4 million budget. So it's kind of a small budget thing. And a lot of times, it's amazing the kind of movie that you can make for a small budget like that. And a lot of times, those kinds of movies are a little bit different. And I was waiting. I was like, okay, at the end, something's going to happen at the end. She and Pascal are going to get away together, and then she's going to kill him right at the end for killing her dad or whatever. Or something's going to happen. Some twist is going to happen. It never did. It just kind of showed them getting in the rocket, taking off, heading back to the space station, and it just went to black, and that was it. So I was a little bit bummed. Maybe I wanted a little bit more, but
What about the dude in the cage, the pink dude?
Yeah.
That was just
Yeah, I didn't
so
even get
crazy,
Yeah.
so wild and crazy. I love stuff like that where they just throw some. Sometimes movies will do that. They'll just throw something in there that's totally like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
But give you no explanation and just let your imagination run wild on it.
Right.
Yeah, this did kind of remind me of like some, not any one particular, but like some
Well,
comics
Matt,
that I read.
well, I was going to say, Matt, it kind of reminded me kind of a little bit of Moon. You remember when we watched
Yeah,
Moon
that's a good movie.
back in the day? It kind of gave me a feel of that kind of show.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's the kind of movie where small budget, different kind of story with a weird thing, you know, that
Yeah.
really gets your head cranking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. And this
the
wasn't
ending,
that.
you're like, he's a clone? Holy crap.
Yeah, what?
You know?
Yeah.
that
Spoilers for
that was
Moon.
great. Spoiler if you've not seen Moon. Sorry.
But this reminded me of some of the more like indie comics that I read, in that they start, you know, they're, even for several issues, they're real subtle. They start real small, but then like something crazy happens, and you're like, holy crap, this is the best thing I've ever read. And this just never
Right.
got there. You know,
Yeah.
it just stayed very average through the whole thing.
Yeah.
I did like it, but I just
Yeah.
wanted maybe a little bit more.
Some of the things that I really liked was when at the end where he told her to leave, and then you think she just picks up and leaves. She's like, all right, I'm out of here, going to the ship, getting out of here. But she goes and gets like a med kit for him,
Yeah.
you know, and like comes back.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of cool. And I really liked how they threw in the girl who kept like squelching their headsets
Yeah,
with the music.
Yeah.
Like that was original. I've never seen them do
Yeah.
that. Like just with, you know, so that they could talk. Like they're all on the same channel, but then like she blows their ears out with just music, which again was in some sort of crazy language.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I thought they were going to do something with that, because the main girl, C, her name is C, C-E-E.
Yeah.
Yeah, see.
The main, you know, C, she also listened. She, you know,
Had
at the
some
beginning of the movie, you
headphones.
see her listening to music all the time. She's got her headphones in. So I thought that she was going to say something that almost be like, "Oh yeah, you know, I like that song, but this one's better." And maybe C and like the mercenary girl would form some kind of bond or something. I thought maybe they were going to use the music to form a connection, because I thought, okay, oh, that's interesting. There's another character in this movie who uses music in some way. But that never happened. You know, they never made that connection.
How cool was a little part where she was explaining to Pedro Pascal about Streamer Girl?
Yeah.
I thought that whole little dialogue was awesome. Like where she's talking about the book.
Oh
where she had read a book, but then she had lost it. So then she was trying to remember the book and writing in her own
Oh yeah.
kind of passages.
Yeah, she kind of opens
of
up
like
to him. Yeah.
her adventures. Kind of
You know what that reminds me of? Opie.
What?
Book of Eli.
Yeah.
Except she wasn't blind.
Yeah, but she wasn't blind, but she was remembering. No, it was cool. They run into, like, I guess you would consider the locals. They're just like a religious group, sort of. Did you get that
Yeah.
vibe off of those? They
yeah.
were, and the thing about the planet, and you were talking about earlier, the way they were filming it, I guess they wanted to kind of put that haze over the filter. Like there was always that haze of that
Yeah.
dust, and they talk about the dust and the filter, their filters from time to time being able to
Yeah.
breathe it, so you could actually, I guess, coexist half the time without a filter on. And maybe those, because they were just in a tent. I don't know how. I didn't want to go into the specifics of how they did that, but yeah, there was a point where, you know, he was needing medical attention on his arm, and then had to go into get help from the local group, and they wanted the girl to kind of rebuild their civilization, and they were talking about that some other force had brought them to them, you know, and it was sort of like, hey, and she bolts. But the entire time after I watched the movie, there was 2 points I kind of was thinking about that was kind of random. I think them, like Pascal's guy running up on their group was kind of random. Like that was kind of like, you know, that kind of changed the whole movie, because they just land and they run into them. And plus, when Pascal comes back to the ship and goes into the ship, how she just misses him with the one shot of the gun in that close quarters. Like, that was a little bit, I thought that could have been done a little bit better. But
how creepy was Pascal's partner at the beginning?
I know.
That dude was creepy.
Yeah, he was like
I almost
Master
thought maybe he was
Blaster or
like some
something.
kind of android or something.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't ever really know, but
he had that rail gun or whatever.
Yeah, then nobody picked up the big Gatling gun. That was like the baddest weapon in the whole movie, and like they just let it lay there.
But yeah, that's the thing that kind of entertained me, other than the story not being so strong, was just the kind of the gadgetry of it. I was just intrigued by the whole thing. Like when his arm had to come off, they just had a little exo knife, and you just had to flip a switch, and it had 4 settings, and she took his arm off with this little, X-Acto knife is what I was trying to say. Yeah. And I was like, man, that's crazy when they think all this stuff up. But did you kind of pick up on the story that she was telling of why she was so calm when she was doing that? Apparently they were harvesting some big animals or something, and she had to crawl up inside the body and it reminded me of that part in The Boys where the whale, I guess, crashed. Oh my gosh. They crashed the whale and they had to go up inside the whale, and who was in there? Oh, that was when the Deep was sitting in there inside the whale, and I thought that was funny. But
I did like. I was just to say, going back to the haze, the way they made it look. So this is 2 movies in a row where, if nothing else, even if the movie were bad, in the movie, the cinematography, the way it was shot, the environment that they used made me feel like I was there. When we watched Never Grow Old last week, the whole time I felt cold and wet and muddy and dirty. Yeah. In this movie, the whole time, I just mentally, I felt like I had the sniffles and I couldn't breathe because just of all the dust and the particles in the air. And I kind of wonder if they did that like in post, like if they put like just a filter over. They would have had to, because there was so much stuff floating in the air. There's no way.
Yeah, they can do that. They can totally change the look of a movie in post just by adding the filter.
They did a great job, because that to me, I think without that, I would have been hard pressed to feel like it was an alien world, even in the wide shots where you could see like a big moon, another planet off in the horizon.
Well,
one of the famous movies that did that was Saving Private Ryan. They threw like a filter over the whole movie and kind of gave it like a real washed out. Like there's like no real bright colors in Saving Private Ryan. So it just kind of looks real dull and almost like a vintage movie. But yeah, they can totally do that.
Yeah, I was trying to kind of pick up on some of the vegetation and trying to determine like where they shot it, because like Lord of the Rings and stuff was shot like in New Zealand and things like that. But it looks like those were some like redwood trees. It might have been shot in California, just in some like ferns and redwoods. It looked like one of those big forests out there or whatever, and they did a lot of that in post. But I'm glad that you guys kind of liked it. It was an original movie. I thought it was really original, and according to IMDb, it did well in some of the independent movie awards. So it's not going to be a winning Oscar or whatever.
With the power of the internet, you're right, Opie. It was actually filmed. Says all of Prospect's exterior shots were filmed on a private land trust adjacent to Washington's Olympic National Park.
Ooh.
So that'd be right up there, like Northern California, Washington area with the big redwoods.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Great. Awesome.
Well, I've got an assignment for us this week. One that I almost went ahead and watched over the weekend, but I was like, you know what? I can wait 2 days and save it. It's brand new to Netflix as of Friday. It is called Outside the Wire, with Anthony Mackie. I'll just read the quick description. In the near future, a drone pilot sent into a war zone finds himself paired with a top-secret android officer on a mission to stop a nuclear attack.
Okay.
This is Outside the Wire. This is brand new to Netflix. It just dropped on the 15th, so 2 days ago. And I've heard about this one for a while now, and I've been waiting for it to finally drop on Netflix, and it finally did. Like I said, these types of movies like this, I love to watch the day they come out. Like I'll watch it on a Friday night or something. But if I hadn't had the pick this week, I probably would have gone ahead and watched it. But I was like, I'll wait 2 days so that we can all watch it together. I haven't even watched. I've seen like maybe the first 30 seconds of the trailer, and that's it, because Netflix trailers are the worst with revealing the whole movie. So I haven't even really seen the trailer, but the premise sounds good, and I like Anthony Mackie. It has a 5.4 rating on IMDb, but I don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff because that's IMDb stupid in their ratings. But yeah. So Outside the Wire. That's our movie
it's
for next
number
week.
1 on Netflix in the U.S.
Well, it's brand new. I mean, it's it's like I guess it's an action, some kind of like their next big action movie. And it's gonna be what I was thinking about today is Netflix. They're having that big push for like one new movie every week all year.
Oh God.
So we could almost just say forget us picking. Let's just always watch the new Netflix movie.
Isn't there something coming on HBO Max this week? Wasn't there a big movie coming out this week?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah. Save it for next week. It's your pick next week, so save it for then. All right, guys, we are going to move on to probably the biggest. I would say this is going to be Mandalorian level TV show water cooler talk. This is WandaVision on Disney Plus. This is the next entry into the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So 2020 was rough because it was our first year since 2008 that we didn't get any Marvel stuff, TV shows, movies, anything like that. Or I guess movies. I can't remember if Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went off in 2020 or not, but no MCU movies. And this is the next entry into that. So basically this is it's like an 8, 9 or 10 episode series. And it features Wanda, Scarlet Witch. She's never called that in the movies, but Wanda and Vision. And the first 2 episodes are streaming right now, and it's going to drop week to week, just like Mandalorian after that. And basically, these first 2 episodes are Wanda and Vision, and it's done in the style of like the old 50s and 60s sitcoms where it's black and white and, Lucy, I'm home, and, that kind of stuff, Dick Van Dyke Show and that kind of thing. Vision goes off to work, and Wanda stays at home and, bakes or whatever they did in the 50s. And, it's done like a sitcom, like a funny comedy kind of thing. But every now and then you get these little drops that something might be amiss. Something otherworldly may be going on. Not necessarily otherworldly, but like maybe the reality around them isn't what it seems to be. And, and we know that that's true because of the trailers. And, I try to stay away from those. So I think every week we are going to get a little bit more, a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger of a nugget until we get to near the end of the season and we figure out what really is going on. So, but that's the rub is, we've got to, it's a good water cooler show because it's almost like Lost where you can watch it and form your own theories, and there's all kinds of theories online and that kind of stuff. So you can talk about it. If we were still in a society that actually went to physically into an office, we'd be talking about it all the time. But Opie, you said you watched it, but Pete, I don't think you did, right?
I did not.
Okay.
Yeah,
but I could be swayed. I could be persuaded to watch it.
Yeah, I've got a couple of questions or just some thoughts on it. As far as it being on the, they're only 30-minute episodes, right? Are they?
Between 30 and like 45.
Right.
I don't think they're going to be exact. It's like The Mandalorian. It's not going to be exact every time.
Do you know a lot of is it how many episodes we're going to get and all, how big of the story arc's going to be? Do we know that?
I'll just look.
Some of my first initial thoughts are it was shot really well, it acted really well. I don't really know what
episodes.
How many?
9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, it's done really well. It's as far as like the Bewitched, Leave It to Beaver type of TV show that they're kind of modeling it after. That's cool. I think there's a much bigger picture. I think you've got to watch these first 2 episodes, and in your mind, since Vision and Scarlet Witch aren't the most popular characters in the Marvel Universe, especially if you're not a comic book reading person. I mean, come on, what has Vision and Scarlet Witch ever been in on TV ever before the cinematic universe? You know what I'm saying? I mean, correct me. I'm asking the question. Do they have cameos?
Yeah, they were in like cartoons and stuff.
Yeah, things like that. But anyway, so you're introducing these 2 characters into the Mogul universe. I mean, that their backstories, I guess. Or do we know if this is a backstory, Matt? I mean, of course,
this
Vision
is not a backstory.
It's not a backstory.
Right. So if you remember, spoiler alert for anybody Pete, who hasn't seen every movie in the Marvel Universe, you know, Vision died at the end of Infinity War.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Okay.
I saw the Avenger movies. I also had no clue who Vision was. I was like, they're literally making superheroes up at this point.
No, they're not.
I'd never heard of it. I was like, who is this guy? This purple dude.
Dude, Vision's awesome. Vision's
they're
like
literally making people up.
No, but this is not an origin story at all. This is you know, and that's the mystery of this is, wait a minute, Vision died at the end of Infinity War, so how is he here? You know, so that's one of the mysteries of the show, is because this does take place after Endgame.
And I don't think they know why they're there yet. Correct me. You don't have to correct me or not correct me, because this is I'm coming to you as a non-comic book guy telling you my opinion. I don't think they know why they're there. They absolutely know each other, and they know they have a relationship with each other. They give you hints throughout the movies that they don't know what's going on, really.
Right.
When they interact with people, they interact with people like Vision goes to work. He knows what to do at work, but what he has to do at work, he can do anything because he's just super android, whatever he is.
Yeah, he's an android, so it's like a computer doing, you know.
Yeah, and doing all that. But he knows to change his appearance. But there are certain things that they do that, and you know, that he doesn't really adjust to well, like when they do the magic show or when company comes over. Wanda has to kind of improvise, and she uses the neighbor, which just showing the neighbor lady that comes over. What was her name? She's
Agatha.
Agnes. She's going to come into. She's going to be through the whole series. She's going to come into it later or whatever. But it kind of goes from, I think I see this series like evolving into a bigger picture. This is a small piece to a bigger puzzle.
Oh, for sure.
And it's not like The Mandalorian where you start off with, this is the beginning, here's a storyline. I think they're inside of something bigger right now that's going to come to fruition at the end of it all. Not like, you know, The Mandalorian or any other normal series, you know, you start at the beginning and there's an end. I think maybe there is kind of a beginning and an end to this, but I think there's something bigger.
Definitely. I mean, I think the comparison to Lost is really good. Because you're just sort of dropped into this situation. And you're like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
And if you watch 3 episodes of Lost or 1 season of Lost and never watched it again, you just never know. You never know, like, what is the truth behind all this? And same with this show. Like, I saw, for the most part, it was getting a lot of positive praise online. There's some people that said they didn't like it, or some people said that they found it boring. But I feel like if you watch these 2 episodes and then based your whole opinion of the series off these 2 episodes and you never watch it, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's like, I kind of think of it as like going up a roller coaster. Yeah. And these first 2 episodes are going up that first hill. Maybe the next 2 are like, you know, there's nothing exciting. It's real slow. Once you get over that hump, then it's just a whirlwind. Yeah. So I think you're going to have to watch, especially when it's over, when all 9 episodes are out. I think it would be good to watch it like all at once, because
this definitely would be a good binge one, probably. The way that it's going to be.
I think if I could wait, it would be better to binge watch it, but I can't wait.
I feel like, you know, even though the first 2 episodes weren't exciting and mostly confusing, they were confusing that you don't know the overall story, but they weren't confusing about kind of what's going on. They were really charming episodes. I mean, they do such a good job. They're such good actors. It was just a really good, easy couple of episodes to watch, and you really didn't have to really pay attention like you're missing anything, but they dropped those little hints of things that were happening that you know, Wanda and Vision could not figure out what was going on, to let you know that they're in the middle of something bigger, and there's something very, very weird that's going on, and you're just going to have to keep watching to find out what it is. But yeah, it's so, I mean, are you surprised that Disney would pick Wanda and Vision or to be have their own type of thing, or was that something that
I don't think so, because I think they are using this as a springboard to open another door to the Marvel universe. So like, whereas Guardians of the Galaxy opened the door to the cosmic side of the Marvel universe, and Doctor Strange opened the door to the magic side of the Marvel universe. I think they're using this to open another door, because apparently, supposedly, this is going to roll straight into the next Doctor Strange movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which they're going to use to introduce the multiverse, supposedly, allegedly. And Wanda is in that movie as well. And then, suppose maybe, the next Spider-Man movie is going to be like a Spider-Verse movie, which I really hope it isn't. It's too soon. But a lot of people are speculating that because they think that Doctor Strange is going to introduce the multiverse, which will then allow for a Spider-Verse movie. And there's all these rumors about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming in. And, because apparently it's confirmed that Jamie Foxx is coming back as Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2. And supposedly Alfred Molina is going to be Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2. But I don't know. I really don't think that fits with where they were going with Spider-Man after Far From Home. But yeah, so I'm not surprised. I think that because they plan this stuff. I mean, Kevin Feige and the folks at Marvel Studios, they don't do a movie at a time. They plan years. This isn't the Star Wars sequels where they just sort of fly by the seat of their pants.
Right.
They plan this stuff years ahead.
Right.
And I think they are using this to open a door for even more stuff for the grander picture. So that's why I think they went this route. There's a lot of theories. We won't get into them because a lot of it is like deep cut comic book stuff. But probably one of the biggest theory that I'll talk about just real quick. And there's so many small Easter eggs and stuff, but I'm not going to go into all that stuff. But the biggest one is that Wanda actually created the reality that they're in, because she had in the comics there was a storyline where, super long story short, she went nuts and created she rewrote reality. And it was a storyline called House of M. And she rewrote reality to where mutants were the dominating species instead of humans. And then at the end of all that is the famous No More Mutants, where she wrote reality back to the way it was, but she also made like 98% of all mutants lose their powers and that kind of thing. So, but in that story, House of M, she rewrote reality into her own picture perfect world. And there's a lot of speculation that this is what's happened. This is the MCU's version of House of M, where she rewrote reality in her perfect world. So, the theory is that after Vision's death, she was so distraught that she wrote reality so that she and Vision have a picture perfect life. And I think that's probably true. But then, you hear like the little voices over the radio say, Wanda, who's doing this to you? Wanda, who's doing this to you? So maybe somebody is doing it to her. You see the insignia of another organization known as SWORD, which in the comic books, if S.H.I.E.L.D. is the super secret government espionage agency for the United States, SWORD is that same thing, but for the world. And they deal with like cosmic like threats from space. And the insignia for that organization is in this show as well, but it's unclear as to how that's going to fit in yet. I have a feeling I know who the neighbor is. She's another character from the comics named Agatha Harkness, who's a witch that trained Wanda. That kind of stuff. There's lots and lots of Easter eggs, but go online if you want to read a bunch of them. There's a lot of good articles about the August 23rd date on the calendar. Supposedly that references Avengers 238, in which something big happens with Vision there. There's that kind of stuff. But yeah, I liked it. It was a little slow, but I think it's something that you can't judge it by 2 episodes. You really need to watch all 9 episodes and then judge it, because I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't continue from this, because it's such an unknown. They're just giving you little bits at a time. But I liked it, so I can't wait for the next one.
Okay.
Well, so growing up, I know we're all like around the same age. You guys grew up with Nick at Night just like I did. What were some of your favorite old retro TV shows that were on? Because I know I love like Mr. Ed. Like, did you guys watch any of those? Like growing up?
I didn't like it. Yeah, I remember when Nick at Night started throwing Mr. Ed up on there and My Three Sons and all that good stuff. I didn't like it. No.
I used to watch Bewitched, but when it was colorized, so I guess that was later. I was a little bit after that. Like I was more Three's Company and in that era, which is later than the Nick at Night stuff.
The only shows I remember watching, like especially black and white, I used to watch Dennis the Menace, and I used to watch well, not black and white, but I used to watch the Monkees, the band the Monkees. They had a TV show that came on. Cool. It was hilarious. I love
that too. I watched a lot of TV when I was little.
Yeah,
the Waltons, like
wow.
Come on, man. I was like, still to this day, like if it's like a Sunday morning and nothing's going on and like there's like 3 episodes of the Waltons on, I will bust those out because I don't care. I love it. I love the Waltons.
Yeah, we were big.
That Walton family.
The Dukes of Hazzard was always watched.
Oh yeah,
Hee Haw. We always watched Hee Haw, stuff like
Hee Haw.
Yep.
All right, we're going to move on, guys. I'm going to have to let you take this next one. You guys and some of our other friends of this week started playing Rust. Pete, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Rust is, how you got into it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Rust is a very strange. It's been a long, strange journey for Rust. Rust is a video game. It came out on PC, right, first. And it actually, so here, this is really crazy, but there was a game called Arma, which was like a military simulator. Big open world game. It was called Arma. It came out with Arma 2. And Arma was a weird game because it had actual funding by the U.S. military. Like they said, hey, we want to get in on this whole craze of video games and shooters and stuff. So the U.S. military they used it as like a way to promote recruitment for young kids. You know, you got 18 to 22-year-old kids playing a bunch of video games. Like, let's see if we can possibly get them to
let's lure kids into the military with video games.
Exactly. So when Arma 2 came out, there was a mod, like a huge mod for Arma 2. And DayZ came out for Arma 2. And it was like...
I thought it was Arma 3.
No. Oh. Arma 2. DayZ was a mod for Arma 2. The DayZ was like same big open world, but instead of like shooting at like Russians or the Chinese, you're shooting at zombies. So they made all these zombies out there. So basically, and then it kind of evolved from that. There was a clone game that came out based off of DayZ, and they called it Rust, and it looked exactly like DayZ. Like it was identical to DayZ, but they took more of like a survival aspect to it, where you start out, you gotta go find food, you gotta go find water, you gotta find shelter, clothes. If you go up too high, you can get cold, and then your body temperature goes down. There's just all kinds of like survival aspects. But the kicker was, you're playing on a map with like 100 people, and everybody's trying to do the same thing and just survive. So it's like all out. Everything goes. You can craft. It's like Minecraft. You can cut down trees, build shelters. Find components, build guns. You can play with your buddies and kind of team up.
Yep.
All kinds of different PvP and PvE aspects. So we have our buddy Dan, who's been on the show a few times. He was so kind to pay for us our own private Rust server for a month, just so we could kind of play it, because it got real popular. Because guys, this is like started in like 2013, and like now it's 2021. And this game's still kicking. They redid the graphics engine like a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think it looks pretty good. I know it runs good on my system. It's well optimized. It's not like
the game came out in 2013. It got popular in 2021, which means it's going to be eligible for the Game Awards 2021 probably. just like Among Us should have been eligible. Yeah.
So the beta came out in 2013, but the full release version didn't come out till like 2018 or 2019. Like that's when it was fully released. So the big push right now is I think that they kind of coerce some streamers to play it recently, because it has it's coming out on like consoles next year,
right?
Or this year, 2021. This year, yeah. So I think that they were probably like, hey, Shroud, here's $5,000, play our game for a weekend, here, hey, or whoever else was playing it. Cause it just seemed like every streamer was playing it for like a week. It's just out of nowhere. It's kind of odd. So we kind of got into it. It's really fun. We're playing it more PvE. So we got our own server. We're kind of just trying to build up our bases, playing against the elements, which the hardest thing about the game is just surviving, because you got bears and wolves, all kinds of stuff. You can go out on an adventure and then get out way too far and then start freezing and get knocked off your horse, and then you're running around with no way to get back to your base and get warm, and then you're dead. And then when you die with everything that's on you, and then it lays there, and you have a certain amount of time to make it back to reclaim your loot. So I have done that. I was on a horse, I had like all this stuff, and then I was like, oh shoot, I didn't bring my torch. So I have no idea. It's like completely pitch dark. The next thing I know, all I hear is roar. It's a bear. It's just like mauling me, knocks me off the horse. I turn around, I'm fumbling through my gear, trying to get my gun out. I'm just like going shooting into the pitch black, and then I get hit and my screen turns red and I've lost all my stuff. So yeah, it's a really fun game. What do you think about it, OP?
I've been looking for a long time, since back when we were playing games together, to find a game we played comparable to like H1Z1, which H1Z1 was a zombie-esque sort of game that was in early access and never got finished, apparently, until it went to Battle Royale, and then the Battle Royale exploded. I think we were kind of playing it at the time, Matt, that it went Battle Royale. Do you remember?
Yeah, they just gave up on the survival aspect and did the Battle Royale thing.
But I mean, survival games are so cool to just, you can let your creativity roam, and you have to learn the game from the ground up. And you start off, like you said, you buck naked with a rock in your hand, and you have to use the rock to cut down a tree. And then you have to take the wood from the tree, and you got to make a spear. And then you have to find a chicken and kill the chicken to eat, or you have to find some berries to eat until you can find enough cloth from hemp plants to make some, trousers or whatever. And then so on and so forth, until you're, you're learning different patterns, and you can build things, and you go exploring. You can find horses. You can make cars. You can find burnt cars. There's really no story. I don't know the story about Rust, the world that you live in. It's kind of post-apocalyptic, I guess. Everything's kind of ruined. There's NPCs. Some of the NPCs are hostile towards you, especially if you're carrying a weapon. Time to time, there'll be helicopters that fly overhead that will gun you down if you have weapons in your hands. So you have to kind of strip down real quick to kind of hide from the helicopters, which is always fun when you hear a helicopter coming, depending on what you're doing. But yeah, so like we're planning on kind of building our own bases right now. We're kind of spread out across the map. We're kind of maybe join up on a couple of nights, maybe this week, and go looking for a new place to build a base, and kind of put our forces together, and maybe go look for some of these like military outposts where some NPCs lie, to see if there's any really good loot. Maybe we can get some good guns and things in there. But yeah, it's really laid back, especially if you got your own server. You don't have to worry about that, just getting overrun by players that have been there and put more time into it already, and won't kind of let you get your feet off the ground. I was talking to my son about him and his friends were playing it. Been playing it for months and months. They were out ahead of this recent rush. For some reason, they got into it, and I'd never heard of the game before when he started playing it. And yeah, it looks good too. It runs. It'll run your computer, depending on if you have a gaming PC or not. It'll run it as hard as you want to push it sometimes. But it's a very good looking game. I mean, there's not a lot of glitchy stuff with it. I mean, like H1Z1 had its glitches. But it's really been entertaining. I always want to get in there and make sure my horse is taken care of. And I went out today. I got on this morning and kind of took a trip, threw some saddlebags on him, and went down the road, just like kind of scrapping cars and getting scraps and learning patterns. I want to unlock you get a whole tech tree that you unlock and learn how to make stuff, and then you move up to another workbench, and then finally a third workbench. Tim, our buddy Tim, he's the electrician in the group, so you can finally learn electricity, and he's got all that tree mapped out. So where if he's like, he's like, yep, if your base needs a little electricity, just give old Tim a call. I'll come on over there and I'll wire you up right.
He rode his horse over to my base. Because I found some like switch. It's crazy because you have to find the batteries, you have to find a solar panel, you get the wiring, You have like the fuses. But the crazy thing is, like, Tim, he kind of took it to another level. Like, he came over and put a switch in for me, and with like some lights to light up my place, solar panels. You have to face them in a certain direction so that they collect the most sunlight. And the longer you run your wires, the more drop in current you have, just like it would be in real life. I would put in external lights here at our house and landscape lighting, and they came with a diagram, said every foot over 100 feet you start losing so many watts. So it's just like real life. But Tim, actually, he has this in his base, he has this long stairway, and he wanted some lights in that stairway, so he had just a light switch at the top, right? Well, he wanted a light switch at the bottom too, so he could like turn the light on at the top, go down to the bottom, and then flip that switch. But you can't just do that off of one switch panel. He did like some crazy wiring with like all these different switches, and I mean, it looked like I went over there. I'm like, what in the world? He spent like 45 minutes getting his stairway lit. So there's all kinds of
just like real life.
Yeah, just like real life. Well, Opie and I, we went out on like a big hunting expedition. We were both on our horses, and it was so cool. We had like made these compound bows, and we're like just cruising over like these like plains, right? And there's like not very many trees. It's just like rolling plains. And I just like look over, and there's Opie riding his horse, and I'm riding my horse. We both got our bows out, and like there's a bear. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun game. You can just do whatever you want. If you just want to hop in there and work on building a structure, or if you want to go and attack some NPCs and play more of like a shooter kind of game, you can do that. You can build a garden. Yeah, you can build a garden. They have all kinds of stuff. You can get the seeds for like corn, right? And it will show, like, when you plant the seed of corn, it'll come up with a menu and show you like all these like different strains
you can make,
and you can
pollinate.
You can like plant some corn, and if it's like if you have like the fertilizer real good and the water real good and the lighting is real well, like it will unlock like a certain strain, and then you can use that seed that you pick from that and then try it again, and you'll yield more crops, and it'll heal you for more, and it'll give you more calories. It's just crazy, like all the effort that they put in this game. I mean, they've been working on it forever, so but great game. I mean, and what was it, like $20?
Yeah,
I bought it like a year ago.
Yeah,
so I mean, it's a good game. It's fun, so give it a shot if you can.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in there at some point. Because I loved our old school H1Z1 days. I had a lot of fun with that before they gave up on it. All right, just I've got a couple pickups to show off, and then we'll wrap this thing up. So I actually bought something on a complete impulse. It was like $15 off on Amazon. I think it was like $20, normally $35 or something. I got the Lupin the Third, the first. It's called the Lupin the Third, the first. Steelbox Blu-ray. Okay. This is Opie, you probably have heard of Lupin the Third.
Anime.
Anime. There's several different anime movies of Lupin the Third. There's a TV show on Cartoon Network back in the day. Of course, that character is based on like the French character Arsène Lupin. I'm not real sure the French backstory, but so Lupin the Third, the Gentleman Thief, a lot of different anime movies and TV series. This is the first CGI movie, so it still has the anime style. Like you can see, they still look like they do in the anime, but it's all CG.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking there,
which is pretty cool. So I actually got the boy to watch it with me last night, and he thought it was really fun. So this is kind of like an adventure. This group of people is trying to steal this diary, which is going to lead them. It's a lot like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, kind of, because at the end they go into this like tomb and they have to get through all these obstacles to get to the thing at the end, which is going to help them restore the Third Reich, that kind of thing. And but it was really fun. I liked it a lot. I'd heard about it a long time ago, and I wanted to see it. And I was going to maybe just like, try to watch it digitally or something. But then this was like on sale on Amazon one day, the Steelbook. I don't usually have any Steelbooks, but it was like $20. I was like, you know what? that might be kind of fun to have. So I bought it, and me and the boy watched it, and it's pretty good. So yeah, I like that. And then Opie, you and I have talked about this before. I pre-ordered it from Target several months ago, and it finally came in. The double pack of Nightwing and the Red Hood, the
Nice.
McFarlane toys. You can get the Red. When I first pre-ordered this was the only way to get the Red Hood, and I guess now he does come in a single pack. But I knew I had him coming, and I didn't want to cancel this and then not be able to find the single. I already have the Nightwing in blue, so I don't really. But I just really wanted the Red Hood, so this came in a couple days ago.
Cool.
And I am going to open them. I'm not going to leave them in the box. I want them open so I can put them with all my other Batmans. But yeah, that was super cool. And that's it for me. You guys don't have any pickups?
No.
Matt, do you want a Saints score update?
No, I haven't on. It's $23 to $20, but there's still like 9 minutes left.
we all have our favorite football team, seems like, and Matt's is the Saints.
Yep.
And so he was so gracious to get on here and do the show on time with us tonight. But we're going to wrap it up so that he can go on and finish watching his Saints turn down Brady. And
there's a little less than 10 minutes. Yeah, I've had it I've had it like muted on my iPad, just
Nice.
keeping an eye on it.
Jameis Winston got his first touchdown pass.
Yeah, and it might be Breeze's last game too. If the Saints lose, it's widely speculated that Breeze is going to retire after this year. He's already got that broadcasting contract, so
he might be a politician. But then again, he caves too easy, so probably not.
Oh my gosh, whatever. We could do a whole episode on just that. But yeah, that's it, guys. So we're gonna wrap it up here just real quick. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can do so at anythingnewcast, or Instagram is anythingnewpodcast. Send us an email because we still have stuff to give away just for sending an email. You can do that at anythingnewpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to watch any of the shows live on YouTube or after the fact on YouTube, you can do so. We don't have a YouTube URL, but you can do. It's a Bitly link, bit.ly/anythingnewYT, or you can get on our Discord. Discord's starting to spruce up a little bit, having some good conversations on there.
Yeah.
bit.ly/anythingnewdiscord and the number 1, and that'll let you right into the Discord, or Facebook. Just search Anything New Podcast on Facebook, and that'll get you into the group. I think that's it. So, guys, don't forget, next week, Outside the Wire on Netflix is going to be our community activity. We'll talk about that. You guys got anything else?
Nope.
That's it.
Okie dokie. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you later.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.
See you.